Five-ish fangirls, I love you, and I'm one of the five-ish. In fact, I'm the biggest one of the five-ish. I am the Sixth Doctor Colin Baker, and I wish you all well. Have fun.
The tangents as we continue all the way to episode number 50 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. To quote, I like to kick and bend and stretch and kick. I'm 50! Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week by going around the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Belvedere. This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
We are back after a truncated week, but that is okay. We are back to our regularly scheduled format.
It was worth it.
It was absolutely worth it. So everyone that I know has listened to the episode is like, this is so cool, and I got a very nice email from Lou. I thanked him, and he emailed me back, and he said that he had an absolute blast with us. So we made a good impression, which is good. So we're very, very happy to have Lou on. I can't thank him enough for being our guest, and we'll find a reason to have him on sooner rather than later, hopefully. So, as we mentioned last week, we skipped news and all that last week, so we have a crap ton of news to get into, so we're gonna jump right into it. And unfortunately, we're gonna start with some not so happy news.
You gotta kill the mood.
I know. I'm sorry. We're gonna get the bad stuff out of the way, and then we'll up everything and make it happy. But it does need to be talked about. It unfortunately, these things do happen. As I'm sure everybody saw, it was announced actually a week ago, I think, that he actually passed. But Sir Christopher Lee passed away recently at the age of 93, which is a nice long life, but sad nevertheless. And if you've seen pretty much anything, he has been in it. I mean, he was Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, The Man with the Golden Gun, the Star Wars. He was Count Dooku. I mean, it's just the man was a legend in the silver. The outpouring from people that he had worked with, reading some of the posts were just so moving. These messages from people like Peter Jackson and other people from The Lord of the Rings and from Star Wars, and just anybody that he's ever worked with has just, they had nothing but good things to say about him. And I know when I woke up and, I wake up and the first thing I do is check my phone. And that was one of the first things I saw, and it was not something I wanted to wake up to. But it is what it is. But I'm gonna have to have a Tolkien binge watch now, in his honor, when I find the time. So he's just
one of the things that just want to do it, but finding the time.
Yeah. So, but his legacy will live on in those films and his other works, and it's
and the one thing I was really struck by personally was because people post clips and videos and things in honor and tribute, and there was one clip when he received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the BAFTAs, and I mean he's known for playing villains and mustache twirling evildoers and stuff like that, but then he got up to accept this award, and just I was struck just how humble and how honored he was by the award, and his bid. Like, you've done all these wonderful things, but just how grateful he was for everybody who he's worked with, who nominated him, and all those different things, and just he was a consummate gentleman, I think, and he's just one of those people that, like, man, it's so cool to meet him, and he just and I mean, they were talking about all the things he's done, like he released a metal album at the age of 80 or 88 or something like that. But looking at him, because he's like, yeah, just very, very humble and unassuming. And it's like, man, those kinds of people.
He will be greatly missed. So
yes,
pop in your copy of the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit or Star Wars, or if you're a James Bond fan, The Man with the Golden Gun,
or he was Dracula back in the day too.
Yes.
Yep, some of the Hammer horror films, if I remember correctly.
And watch his work with fondness. And somewhat related, unfortunately. He's not dead, thank goodness. But he recently announced it because he decided he wanted to be very open about this. But John Hurt, what we all, our Doctor Who fans know him as a war doctor, with cancer, which sucks mildly. Yeah.
This news came out like the day I'd been with some friends and we watched Hellboy. I'd never seen Hellboy before, and I was watching it, and he's in that movie, and he came on, and I'm like, oh, that's John Hurt. He's a war doctor. And then my friend, he was sitting next to me, and he's like, halfway through the movie, it dawns on him, and he's like, wait, that's the war doctor. I'm like, I knew it was the war doctor. It's like, I should have said something.
Yeah.
But he was, he's Ollivander, and he's in a bunch of other things that I'm totally blanking on what he's in now, but there you go.
He's a guy in Alien that has the alien pop out of his chest. But he said that he's going to continue to work, and he's undergoing treatment, and they're very optimistic about the outcome of his treatment. And he said he wanted to make his diagnosis public because he's always been open about the way he conducts his life, and in that spirit he wanted to make a statement. So obviously our thoughts and well wishes to him for a satisfactory outcome, and he kicks this thing and nips it in the bud. But it's not something you want to hear, especially I'm sure it's completely unrelated, but it's with the Doctor Who family, and I know the guys have talked about this on Traveling the Vortex. It just seems like a lot of people with ties to Doctor Who get struck with cancer, and it sucks. Cancer sucks in general. I've had family with cancer, and it is just an awful, awful disease. But there's something about, I don't know if it's just because the UK acting pool is so small to begin with, so there's so many people ties to Doctor Who, so it seems like there's so many more people related to Doctor Who that end up with cancer of some sort, but, it's just, you kind of want to roll your eyes and go, really?
Like, again?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. We don't need this to continue. So, but he's a fighter. I know he's not gonna let this thing get to him if he can help it. So, and I'm sure medical care that he could possibly get, helping him fight this thing. So, our well wishes to John Hurt.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Now that I've completely ruined the mood, let's move on to some happy stuff.
Yes. Get those calendars out and let the scheduling commence. Some fall premiere dates have been announced. On September Monday 21st, we have the airing premiere of Castle. On Tuesday, September 22nd, The Muppets. September 27th, which is a Sunday, Once Upon a Time. And on Tuesday, the 29th of September, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will be back on our screens.
Yay!
And I'm sure there are going to be more that are going to be announced, so keep your eyes and ears open.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's going to be a pretty full calendar.
Yeah.
Yep.
Warm up those DVRs.
This is just ABC. Yeah, this is just ABC having announced their schedule. So I'm sure the CW and CBS and NBC will be, all the alphabet soup networks, they will be announcing their scheduling as time goes on. But those are, but as I found out with doing this this photo challenge this month, the 30 days of channel surfing, and I was thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, ABC has most of my shows, and the CW. Although now with the Muppets, it's back to ABC is ahead, because CW is going to have Legends of Tomorrow.
It's a tie.
So yeah, they'll be tied. They'll be tied again.
I think we all either. I was looking at the list, and all of us either had CW, ABC, or both.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's okay. They have good shows.
Yep.
Yes, they do. And if CBS put their stuff on Hulu, I would probably watch their stuff more often. But they don't, so that's their problem.
Yeah.
They have their
So I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to watch.
now.
Yeah.
It's not very good. But yeah, I got to figure out how I'm going to watch Supergirl, but whatever. We shall. That. All right. Further on, speaking of Once Upon a Time, I was so excited to see this. Sean McGuire and Rebecca Mader have been made regulars on Once Upon a Time, which means that if you don't know how this works, and I kind of know, but only through osmosis, it seems. So you watch the show, and then there's they have, and you see the credits in the opening if you're paying attention to that. And then you have and it has the main cast, or starring, and it's Ginny Goodwin, Josh Dallas, Jennifer Morrison, Robert Carlyle, Colin O'Donoghue, Jared Gilmore, Emily DeBravin, and Mike for last.
Right, and Michael Soka did get bumped down. I don't think he's going to be series regular anymore.
No, and I think the reason that he had to be made a series regular for this season because of some contractual thing with Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, which didn't get picked up again. So because there really wasn't much for him to do in the show, it just was But anyway, so Sean McGuire, who plays Robin Hood, and Rebecca Mader, who plays the Wicked Witch, they are for season 5 at least. Possibly, I'm hoping Robin Hood sticks around, because I'm all Outlaw Queen. Go, they're my second. They're my second Captain Swan, but y'all know how I feel about that.
Yes.
And I love Selena. I love the Wicked Witch. And Rebecca Mader, I simply adore her. And I know she's made the rounds on the con circuit, and I'm just hoping and praying that someday she'll come to Salt Lake Comic Con, because I would just love to meet her. But she's amazing. So they're going to be series regulars on Once Upon a Time, which also means there is, and someone floated this by on one of the groups I follow, that because they're regulars, they possibly could end up going to San Diego Comic Con, because that's. Not the whole main cast doesn't always go, but it's possible, and and they're gonna go. They're gonna be there in some capacity. Once Upon a Time will be. They just haven't announced anything for sure. But you know how we fans are. We like to speculate and get our hopes up, and then only to have them dashed when official announcements come. But anyway, so Robin Hood and the Wicked Witch, they are in the show. So for as regulars.
Considering the storyline, that makes sense.
It does.
Yes, it does. That is very true.
We can I think we can safely assume that beyond the Dark Seaveer, that the Wicked Hood baby will be another major part of the storyline for Series 5.
Oh, I'm quite certain.
Yeah.
Quite certain.
Yay!
Yeah, there's that.
Yep. So we also got the first trailer for the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2, which is full of just explosions and Katniss being, the Mockingjay that she is, and fully stepping into her role, and
And
Sure to
we got
take down
snippets
Christmas
of
snow.
we got snippets of Finnick and Annie's wedding, which I'm like, hooray! That's my favorite part of the book. After that, yeah. Spoilers, it all goes down after that.
Yeah.
So that's like my thing. But I love Finnick and Annie. I don't know why.
Yep.
I mean, I like Katniss and everybody else too, but
Mm.
I could read a whole book about Finnick and Annie. I will never get it, other than in fanfic. But I will. If someone wants to write it, I will. Maybe I should.
There you go. Add it to your list of things to do.
My ever-growing list that never seems to die down.
Yeah.
Never seems to get anywhere, which is probably a good thing because then Anyway.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yep.
Unless someone else has something else to say
No,
about
just
Hunger Games.
where you get a teaser trailer, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So be prepared for the marketing campaign to grow for the Hunger Games as the series comes to a close. Tear.
Seems like they're doing with the marketing what they did last year with like they had the propaganda posters, but this time it's the rebels destroying the Capitol's propaganda, which is kind of cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fun. But that's me. Anyway, next in our news list, this is another really, really exciting thing. Big Finish has revealed the full cast for Unit, the new series. And initially they announced they were doing this, and Kate Stewart would be in it again as played by Gemma Redgrave, but now they've released the full cast list, and Osgood is going to be in it, played by Ingrid Oliver. So this means, barring any timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly nonsense going on in season 9, this means that this takes place before Death in Heaven, which we're not going to think about that because I'm still in denial.
Me too.
Yep. It's like, how can you? How could you, Moffat? I know how you could.
It's Moffat.
Exactly. And then also confirmed, they've had some new characters. There's the Lieutenant, if you're British, Sam Bishop will be played by Warren Brown. He is an international troubleshooter for Unit who is sent to the world's most dangerous hotspots. And also is Colonel Shindy, who will be played by Ramon Tikaram. I know I just slaughtered that, but
looks right to me.
But yeah, so if anyone wants to correct me, feel free, tweet me or email or whatever. And then finally, I love this name. The character Captain Josh Carter, who's a unit officer, is played by James Joyce. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Props to you. Props to your parents, James. Unless that's a pseudonym, which props to you. And then it has a little blurb about Unit Extinction, which is the first story in the series. It says Kate and her team confront an alien invasion by the Nestine consciousness, of course, because it's Unit, and its army of plastic autons. And the box set is set for release in November of this year, 2015. It's available for pre-order, and then there will be 3 further Unit releases followed as 6 monthly intervals. Cool. So, yay, Big Finish. Thank you for finding ways to separate me from my money.
Mm-hmm.
Even more. There's more Big Finish news. They have been busy. They're always busy. They are going to release a special. This is Colin Baker. And it is a recording of a candid 2-hour interview with Colin Baker, as interviewed by Nicholas Briggs. Nicholas Briggs did something similar for Tom Baker for Tom Baker's 80th birthday last year, I believe.
And I'm looking forward to this one because I listened to the Tom Baker one and it was absolutely fantastic. So I can't wait to listen to this Colin Baker one.
and I'm just oh yeah, I can hear Rachel over there just
Mm-hmm.
like the cat that got in the cream. And Holly, it makes me happy that you said that you've listened to the Tom Baker one, because maybe this is just me and just kind of how I perceive Tom Baker. I kind of feel like, and maybe not so much in recent years, but I kind of feel like he's a little more standoffish a little bit. But when I hear Colin Baker in an interview, he's like so open and so personal. Like, he came to Salt Lake Comic Con, I sat and met him, oh my gosh, he's just so wonderful. So being interviewed by Nicholas Briggs, who's wonderful, and just some little details you can pre-order it at the Big Finish website. And I'm sure Rachel's already done this, all copies of the CD version purchased before September 3rd will be signed by Colin.
Mm-hmm. I pre-ordered the Tom Baker
I'm
one.
trying to decide.
And I'm not sure if they're going to do the Colin Baker one, but when I pre-ordered the Tom Baker CD, I also got the audio download.
I think that's sort of standard operating procedure for Big Finish at this point.
Light at the end of the tunnel, I got the physical copy and a digital copy.
Okay.
Which is good because I would have had to wait a lot longer.
Yeah, I only bought digital because I'm cheap, but I'm intrigued. So, and I have no place to put physical CDs anymore. So I'm like, I mean, the two I have are like sitting on my shelf. I don't know what I'm doing with them. All my Big Finish is digital. So yay, Big Finish. Shut up and take my money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, shut up and take my money. Anyway, when it involves my doctor, you're pretty much guaranteed to get my money. I'm sorry.
I know. I'm like, I should just, send my paycheck straight to Big Finish.
Yeah.
Practically do anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're looking for some promoters, you've got 5 of them that are right here that are more than willing to help.
Hey, review copies.
Yes.
That'll give us show topics. Although the boys already do that, so
yeah.
That'll cut into their workload. Be like, hey, we'll review Big Finish for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Big Finish. Just shut up, take my money.
Yep. That's their tagline. It gotta be.
It should. So, we're done with Big Finish?
Yep.
Alright, going on, staying with Doctor Who, at least. Doctor Who, we have sort of a date for Doctor Who coming back. Responding to a fan's inquiry on Twitter about when the show will return, producer Nikki Wilson commented, "We will be back in September," which could mean any Saturday in September, unfortunately, but...
And the end of August.
All the end of August.
Yep. Because technically they'd be back in September, just in time for it.
Yep.
Be August 29th. But anyway.
Yep.
Hey, it's practically September. Kids are back at school by then.
Yep. And Nikki also teased that it would be bigger and better this year, which that kind of seems they say every year, but to me
but they're usually right, so.
True. I mean, I've never heard a show say, we ain't going to be this good. We're going to be that good this year. It's just, if you turn it on, we don't care.
Yeah.
But, I've never heard anybody say that. You shouldn't even bother. Like, don't even.
And I think we already talked about this, but it would kick off with a 2-parter written by Stephen Moffat titled The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar, which, as a big magic fan and fantasy and all that lovely stuff, this gets me really excited, and I'm really curious of how that's all going to work out with the sci-fi. But I trust.
Formidable scheme out magician.
The episodes will feature the return of Michelle Gomez. I'm excited, and is it September yet?
Yeah. Or as Sean likes to say, Easter Saturday. Easter Saturday weekend.
And also, real quick, BBC has released a teaser video for Series 9, and when we say teaser video,
it's a teaser. It's only 10 seconds long.
Glimpses of the TARDIS.
It's a tease of a tease of a tease,
basically.
And it was BBC America. It was, as I understand, it was on during Orphan Black.
Yeah. It was, because I watched it during Orphan Black. I was like, I'm getting so excited. All I saw was glimpses of the TARDIS.
Yeah,
That's
it was
all
on,
it takes.
There were gifs of it on Tumblr, and I was like, "All this is the TARDIS doing its thing," but yay!
Yeah.
Because it says returning in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
So.
We will take whatever we can get. At least until next month for San Diego Comic-Con, when hopefully we'll get more.
When we back up the dump truck and just say, "Pour it in,"
Yep.
and the cup runneth over.
Yes.
So I have a dump truck and a cup.
Yep. You can tell our shows are on hiatus, and we're just like, give me anything.
Exactly.
We're like junkies looking for the next hit.
Yep. Although PBS started Poldark tonight, so I get to watch that tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. I want to. Oh. Shoot, I meant to record. I'm sure it's gonna be on again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be online. It'll
Yeah.
be on their online movie. What's the thing?
Yeah. Well, that's it for
Anyway.
news. We do have a little bit of housekeeping.
Yep, a little bit of housekeeping is I got ahead of the ball, and the poll for July's Traveling War Textbook Club is up over at the Goodreads group page, so please go over and vote.
I already did.
All right, good. And I'm open to suggestions, too, for Doctor Who books as well that I can add to help with the voting as well for future months. And I do plan on, when the new 12th Doctor books come out for September, that those will be on the list.
So there's plenty to do, even though those shows are on hiatus.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I mentioned last week's show, PopCon is Friday as we're recording this. And I still have so much to do to get ready. My cosplays are still not done, among other things.
Always seems to be the case. That
Yeah.
There's just so much to do just in the days before.
Yeah, but I do have a few definitive things that I can say for 99.9% certainty that I will be where you can find me. So on Friday, this coming Friday, which is the 26th, 27th, I don't even know what date it is. It's all blurring together. The first day of PopCon, 26th, at 4.
The first day of PopCon.
Yeah. At 4 o'clock.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
I know. At 4 o'clock, I will be on the podcast stage, which you can find the map for the entire con layout and see where that is. It's going to be over by the food court, which that can be detrimental to my being there, depending on the smells. I don't know. Who knows? But from 4 to 4:45, I will be on the podcast stage recording something. I don't know what. I'm making things up as I go along at this point. I may have Chauncey on. It may be me and Chauncey. It may be my friend Jeanette. It may be both. We don't know. They asked if I wanted any guests, and I gave them my requests, and I still have not heard back yay or nay, so I don't know. If I get one of my requests, fantastic. If not, we may be getting a little something with me talking to Chauncey and my friend Jeanette. Who knows? But so that I will be on the PopCon stage at 4. On Saturday, the 27th at 11 a.m. in, I think it is the medium-sized panel room. I will be hosting with my friend Jeanette. We will be hosting the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic panel from 11 to 11:45, which happens to be right before John Delancey's panel on the main stage. So once our panel ends, don't be offended if I up and leave, because I do not want to miss John's panel.
If you pass a roadrunner, you know that.
Yeah.
Get out of her way.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I will talk to you later. Come find me later. So those are the two places I know for sure I'm going to be for Friday and Saturday. Other than that, I will be in and out of panels, in and out of, I'm having my professional photo with John Delancey on Saturday. I'm doing a professional photo with Sophie Aldred on Sunday, which is exciting. And beyond that, I'm just going to be in and out of the different panel rooms and the artist alley and the vendor hall, and I'll probably be hanging out at the Who North America booth an unnatural amount of time because I just can.
Hey, you might
And
as well.
yeah, I hopefully will be able to get to watch I plan to catch the cosplay competition Saturday night, and get photos and all that. So I'm just going to be running around like a chicken with its head cut off, really, just because there's so much going on. I think on the Facebook page, they said at one point they have 250 unique events going on throughout the convention.
Wow.
So it is.
You shall not lack for things to do.
Absolutely not. So
For a time turner.
yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Kidding.
Yeah, I was just, I struggled figuring out when I was going to do my photo ops with John and Sophie, just because there's so much going on and stuff that I am tied to, that I was like, yeah. So I'm, some panels, like I would love to sit there for the entire panel. Like I said, I'm just going to be in and out of the rooms. And follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and that'll give you a good idea of where I'm at that moment. And I will Instagram a photo of myself at the beginning of the day, so you know what to look for as far as my cosplay is concerned. So you should.
And by the end of the day, you'll probably be very droopy and.
I'll be very droopy, and wigs will be stuffed into bags because I'll be sick of wearing them, and shirts will be crooked, and sleeves will.
You should do an after.
Yeah.
You should do an after picture when you go home and you're like dead, tired, and
yeah, but
you're not quite as put together.
Yeah. So, but if you happen to see me, unless I'm on my way to something that I absolutely have to be at, like the panel or the podcast stage, feel free to stop me and say hi, grab a business card, take a photo with me or just of me if you want. I don't care. Take a selfie if you like. Being absolutely scheduled, or I'm on my way.
If there's a Roadrunner dust cloud behind her, let her go.
Yeah. Or I'm on my way to the bathroom. Don't stop me either. But other than that, feel free to stop me and say hi. So, those are my two contingencies. Where if I look like I'm on a mission, don't get in my way. So. But I'm very excited about PopCon. I've had nothing but fabulous things to say about the convention last year. And I know that the entire crew, the PopCon crew, have worked really hard to make this year as exciting, if not better, than last year. And I mean, there's so many. The guests are just the variety of guests that they have coming, and the cosplay, and the artists that they have coming, and the various vendors, and it's exciting. I've been waiting for this for months, and I'm going to be very, very tired when it's all over, but it's going to so be worth it. So, and I will have a full report next week, in next week's show, assuming I have a voice. So hopefully Con Crud will wait and, kick in after we re-record. There's going to be a lot of, making sure I stay hydrated, and a lot of use of the hand sanitizer.
Vitamin C.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Airborne.
All that good
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Start taking the airborne now.
Yeah.
Drink it with breakfast.
Yeah.
That's how I was like, I am not getting sick after Galley. I'm just not doing it, and I didn't.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
Anyway.
I will make a mental note of that. And then,
Great stuff.
I like obviously I will be there. And if you want to come play with my husband's toy that he's been working on, his invention, he will have it in the booth there with IEPY, the School of Informatics. This is their third incarnation of Return of Etheria, which is a student designed and built interactive game, like RPG type game, that debuted at Gen Con back in 2013. And then the second incarnation was at PopCon last year, and this year is third and I think final incarnation of Return of Etheria. But Chauncey's also bringing along pipes for people to play with. So you can come meet my husband, who just got back from California spending some of Mark Cuban's money. But that's a story for another time. So lots of exciting things, and I just need to make it to Friday, but not too quickly because I have a lot to do between now and then.
You'll get there, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, I will get there. So, moving on to the topic at hand for this week. As I mentioned at the beginning, we've hit another milestone with this being.
Wait.
Yes.
Wait. We got one more thing before we get there.
Okay.
We got to say happy birthday
Oh,
to
yes.
Glenn over at Traveling Vortex. Today is his birthday.
Yes.
So
And happy Father's Day to all the
yes,
fathers
happy
out there.
Father's Day. So yeah, so go bug Glenn at Vortex Glenn on Twitter.
Yep.
Tell him happy birthday because he deserves it.
Yes. Oh, and one more thing. Another reminder, and I'm sure we'll do a reminder at the end here, but another reminder that you still have time to enter our 1-year birthday giveaway. You have a little over a week to enter it, and at the moment we still only have one entry, which is good for the person who's entered right now. But if you want to up the odds a little, and take the guaranteed win away from them, you can find the rules and how to enter on our blog. Our one entrant is aware they are the only entrant, and is more than happy for other people to enter. So, he's not sitting back
Make this a competition.
Yeah, make it a competition. So, and people are
Don't just
probably
think
waiting
you're the New England Patriots and think you can waltz in and take it
Yeah,
by
exactly.
deflating footballs or something.
So for those of
I had to
you,
get that in there.
yeah, thanks.
Not better. But I agree with you, Chris.
Not at all.
Oh, Holly.
Yeah.
Virtual fist bump across the continent.
La 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 la. So if those of you that are waiting till the last minute, you're getting there. That's all I'm saying. If you're going to wait till the last minute is quickly arriving. So
Last minute is upon me.
the puppy even says so. Get to it, folks. Get on the Twitter and get entering. So, and odds are I'm probably going to pick up stuff at PopCon that will make the eventual prize grow even more than it already has. So if that's not incentive, I don't know what is. But I'm still not saying what's in it just because I may add to it. So,
As what Sean says, game show.
yes. Yeah.
Game show caliber prizes. Not a fabulous new car, but close.
Yeah. Little smaller, but nevertheless still exciting.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Anything else? Move
we're
on. Move on. Okay. I think we got everything in now. So, okay. Well, like I was saying, as I said at the beginning, this is episode 50 that we have reached, which is exciting in itself. And I had the idea for another top 10, and of course I'm doing air quotes, as I always do. But this this top 10 is a bit more unique than what we normally do, and we may have to change up our stuff here because I think we have a late late arrival. Mitch is here.
Mitch, you're here.
Yay.
Sorry, I was sleeping. It was a late night last night. My sister got married.
Yay!
Aw, congratulations.
So like we left the where we had the reception at like 1:30 a.m.
That sounds about right.
So yeah, I was catching up on my sleep a bit from.
We don't blame you.
Don't blame you in the slightest.
We don't blame. No. Well, we kind of already divvied up our choices here for the top 10, but feel free to jump in with commentary as you fit. So, but we decided to do things a little differently with this top 10. It's a bit more of a free for all, because the idea was a top 10 of favorite fandom related things that are at least 50 years old, I should say. And this could include pretty much anything. So it's people, things, books.
Yeah, I was looking at the list earlier.
Yeah. So it's a menagerie of items on this particular list.
Some things barely did not make the cut because some of the things were like, oh, that's pretty old. Nope, that was in the 70s. Or in the case of Star Trek, doesn't turn 50 until next year.
Yes.
So,
Sorry, Star Trek.
Nope. You're still at the kiddie table there, Star Trek. And I know I probably just ticked off a lot of people, some of them very good friends. So to them, I just giggle. If we'd been a year off of doing this podcast, we could have included them.
Yep.
But no.
Well, I guess honorable mention. My grandpa just turned 80 yesterday.
Well, happy belated birthday to your grandpa.
At the reception, my sister's wedding reception, he came up and like did a poem about all the things you can get away with, like what it means to be 80.
Oh yeah.
Like, get away with forgetting stuff and all that stuff. It was very entertaining.
Take note, people.
Yep. You're like the Dowager County on Downton Abbey. You can say whatever you want.
Get annoyed, but when you forget stuff at 80, they're okay with it because you're 80. Sorry,
80 does sound a lot older than 70.
Oh my, that's funny. So, I guess we'll do our usual, and we'll I guess start at the top of the list, and everybody will get a turn, and then we'll get a turn, and of course we have honorable mentions because we that's the way we roll.
So when Rachel floated the obvious first thought was Doctor Who, because we just celebrated Doctor Who, the Vault, sitting on my table over here, and it was a gift from someone very nice, and it's a coffee table book, and you don't just stick that on the shelf, and it's Doctor Who. We can gush all day about it.
Table of my own, because I live at home.
Well, this really isn't a coffee table. It's like a pull-out plastic thing that I have sitting in my living room because that's where I work during the week. And anyway, long story short,
and had somewhere like that, even somewhere like that to display it, I would, but I don't. I just have my room, and my room doesn't really have a good place. So
yeah, but
once I get my own place, a coffee table or something like that.
Okay.
Well, for now, it's a lap book.
Anyway, but I have mine sitting here, and I see it every day.
I have it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coffee table, lap, bed. It's all good.
All those places. So, anyway, Doctor Who. What do we want to say about it? What do we want to gush about it? It's wonderful. It's brilliant. It's lasted for 50 years because it's
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the best thing about Doctor Who, in my opinion, that I think other shows do not have, and this is why I love it so much. Well, one reason I love it so much is that it was never meant to last. was never. It was just a dorky little kiddie show that they put in because they had an empty spot, and they're like, well, what are we gonna put in here? Oh, here's it, and it's gonna be something for the whole family, and you've got this irascible old man who's also kind of really sweet and things. You got the 2 school teachers, and you've got the little kids, so everybody can really be sci-fi and history, and kids are gonna learn stuff, and I learned stuff when I watched. And then just over time, it became so popular. The Daleks came in, and then over time they had the idea for regeneration and the Time Lords, and so it never started out with a set continuity or a set how we're going to do this. It just sort of snowballed into this huge, wondrous thing that we all know and love today. And I don't know. I loved watching Adventure in Space and Time over the 50th because it just shows how the humble beginnings of Doctor Who, and it was just sort of throw these ideas out there and see what sticks, basically. And a lot of the stuff stuck. Some of it didn't, but that's just the nature of the beast. And it's like fanfic run amok, basically, because anything that you can dream up to take the TARDIS or any kind of story you can do, you can pretty much do it in Doctor Who. I mean, and with Big Finish, you can do it in audio, and you can have, there's one Eighth Doctor adventure story. It's just audio where he is, and I can't remember which one it is, so this is not spoiling, but he spends like 400, 500, an extraordinary amount of time on a planet of people who are basically fish people, and he lives underwater, and I can't remember how he breathes, but he does something. But it's just you could do that in Doctor Who. I mean, it might not work on TV, but it works in audio. And so
I don't think he was living underwater in that one. I think he was living on an island or something.
Okay, maybe I only listened to it once, but I just remember that, and I'm just like, this Doctor's a lot older than we thought.
But I think he was living on an island.
You're probably right. You're probably right. So anyway, there's Doctor Who. The secret to its longevity is it was a happy accident, serendipity all the way around, and it just worked. And even as clunky as the old sets were, but now it's back, and it looks like really slick and wonderful and awesome, and people love it, and even people. It's always funny when I listen to interviews of people who are working on modern Big Finish, and they're like, and they're older. They would have watched the classic series, as they were kids. They're like, oh yeah, I grew up with it, and I loved it, and I was a fan, and I was so sad when it went off the air. But then I hear people say, now everybody hated it when it was in, during the 90s. It was the dark ages, the wilderness years, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, so where are all these people that hated it so much? Oh, they're obviously not working on Doctor Who now.
Yeah.
It's like, if everybody hated it, why does everybody say they loved it back in the day? So I don't know. Maybe that is my cynical brain, the cynical side of my brain, kicking in. But there you go. And look now we've gotten news that Series 9 will be airing this fall. We have a wonderful new Doctor, Peter Capaldi, who we all adore, mostly, I think. I guess I shouldn't speak for everybody. I speak for myself.
I do.
Love Peter Capaldi.
Yeah.
And I do. And, we have so much Big Finish to look forward to, and Big Finish just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and the comics and the novels, and I don't know, what else can you say? We gush about it, and rightly so, all the time, and I love it.
There's a reason that the guys over at Traveling the Vortex have been doing their podcast for 4 years.
4 years.
4 years going on 5, and they've barely scratched the surface. They've covered a lot of the classic series, but I mean, as long as the show's on the air,
I think it's about 3.5 or
constantly,
something. But they started in 2011.
Well,
it's 2015 now. So
yeah,
they've been at it longer than we have.
Well, that is true. They're over 200 episodes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, have them for it.
And their
their 50th episode was when I first started sending in feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just the Doctor Who is just, it's so
It will
rich that
it
you
will
just
never end.
Yeah.
It will never end, honestly. I mean, even in the quote wilderness years, they still had the books and they still had the comics, and later Big Finish came along. I mean, just because it wasn't on TV doesn't mean that there wasn't anything going on.
Yeah. And
so even if it goes off TV, which it eventually might do, I hope not, but who knows? There will still be people like our generation that was introduced to the new series. Well, they'll be writing novels and keeping it going, or doing all that stuff. So, yeah.
Yep. Love it. Doctor Who is the thing that ties us all together. Makes us happy. Oh, all right. Well, moving on to one of mine. Another big one, and this is a big umbrella that encompasses a lot of other things that are also over 50. But as a whole, the Walt Disney Company is almost 100 years old, actually. So in 8 more years, I think, 8 more, was this 2015? 8, so 2023, the Disney Company will be celebrating 100 years. So it was founded in 1923, and Disney. I mean, we could have just left this at Disneyland. Disneyland is celebrating its 60th anniversary, which is crazy in itself. Plus all the movies from, pick. There's movies from if the cutoff's 50 years old, so 1965. Back to 1923, I mean, you've got so many movies and TV shows. Walt had his, The Wonderful World of Walt Disney and The Wonderful World of Color, and that was on TV, and all the animated movies. Snow White and Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella and Mary Poppins and all these movies, and it's just there's so much stuff that the Disney Company has created. You could talk about the characters. Mickey Mouse is going on 100 years old. So
I know how long ago was Plain Crazy and Steamboat Willie. I mean,
Mickey is 1928. So
1928.
So he'll be turning 90 here in a couple of years. Which is crazy to think of.
When the mouse turns 100, I think we're all gonna be.
Oh yeah. Disney just keeps growing and expanding, and they've got all their different branches. You've got the animate. You still got the animation studios. You've got Pixar. Now we've got the Marvel, and now Lucas with the new Star Wars movies, and maybe eventually some new Indiana Jones movies. So the parks keep growing and changing. Disneyland is the oldest, but eventually Walt Disney World's going to be celebrating 50.
Which blows my mind, because I remember when Disney World when it turned 25, and I was like, I don't remember how old I was, but I was like, wow, that's not very old.
Yeah.
I remember going to Disneyland during their 50th anniversary, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, then you've got the cruise ships. They've got the park that's they've got the international parks. They've got the park in Shanghai that is getting ready to open. So it's almost 100 years later. Disney shows no sign of slowing down whatsoever, and I don't expect them to, and I expect them to keep Walt's vision alive of constantly finding new ways to entertain their guests, whether it's through the movies or TV and the parks, and innovating with new technologies. We talked a little bit about this with the show with Lou. The things that we know are coming, and the things we don't know are coming, and the things we think of. at this point are just mind-boggling, and I am so happy that, you know, I'm a fan and am fortunate enough to be alive during this time, to see, you know, these things come to light, and, you know, the new parks and the changes to the parks. And, you know, I fully expect to visit when, you know, the company celebrates its 100th birthday. I fully expect, you know, when 2023 rolls around, to it be just probably the biggest celebration that the company has held in the entire history of the company. So,
And you think about it. I mean, I'm trying to think how best to phrase this. I mean, for all of us, you know, Disney is everywhere. Disney put a stamp on, like we watch the movies, and we've, you know, there's the Disney Channel. There's all these things that we talk, you know, Disney Princess, Disney Fairies, Disney everything, and we all know about it. And they're not even 100 years old yet, and it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm such a student of history and how much I get immersed in it. It's like 100 years. 100 years is not that old. It's not very long. I mean, you know, as an example, the United States is barely over 200, and, you know, just kind of in terms of history, you look back and you look at ancient history and things like that. So I'm just like how, I'm not making much sense, but it's like I can't imagine a world without
Disney.
Without Disney. I mean,
Yeah.
I grew up on it. I mean, my mom was probably not as big as Disney file as you are, Rachel, but she can hold her own with the best. And that was our big thing when we were little kids. Like, all the
just approaching
Disney movies,
150.
Yeah.
Just approaching 150 in a couple of years.
So, just, I mean, it's amazing, and just how, but, you know, again, humble beginnings. Walt Disney he had an idea for you know, doing animation and cartoons, and it just spiraled out of control from there, just because he was so driven and so interested in all these scientific innovations and about how to make movies, and then how to, you know, doing the parks and everything, is all for, you know, one guy, and all his genius and all his ingenuity and vision. And even if he might not have known how to do it himself, he knew how to find people who knew how to do it, and to get them in the same place, and to understand what he was going for. And it's just it's remarkable. Just one man, one vision, and it just has exploded out of there. And I just it's Walt Disney intrigues me, and I'm really, I mean, I watched that one unofficial biopic about him, as streamers do, and I was just so floored by him. And I can't. Didn't you say at one point they were going to do an official one that's officially Disney company sanctioned?
No, but
Walt?
well, kind of, sort of.
Or
There's going to be a special on PBS
documentary or
this
something.
fall.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that, because, yeah, Walt Disney is like my hero. I mean, I will probably never do anything as remarkable as him, but I love taking inspiration from Uncle Walt. He's a great guy.
Yeah. All right. Moving on.
Yep. And next on our list is the Beatles. Man, what to say about these guys?
I'm wearing my shirt.
For that tomato, man, really helped change the course of music and the way we see music today.
I've had Penny Lane stuck in my head since yesterday.
I mean, as a group, but even separately. I mean, Sir Paul McCartney and his career, John Lennon his solo career, Ringo's solo career, George's solo career. I mean, my gosh. I mean, all of them have been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as the Beatles, and finally, all of them have been inducted by themselves for their own artistic talents. I mean, they have left quite the mark on music. I mean, I don't know what else I can can say.
Well,
I mean,
and their music is, I mean, their music is just, it's timeless.
Exactly. Kids are still listening to it today.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to see Paul McCartney live
I have too.
3 or 4 times. And you look at the audience, and it's from people that are Paul's age, if not older, 70s, and to little kids wearing shirts with like the Beatles faces on it and holding signs and singing the lyrics and dancing along with, you know, people of all ages. And it's just, there's something about their music that every generation that comes along, there's going to be a part of that generation that discovers their music. I mean, my mom claims that I was exposed to the Beatles really young because she listened to the radio stations that would have played their music.
Same with my dad.
Yeah, but
when I was
when
I was little, I remember we had a videotape, a VHS tape, it's in black and white, obviously, of Beatles performances, I mean, I don't know where my parents got it. It was probably like some special Time Life something other.
Mm-hmm.
We would watch, my sister and I would watch the opening segment with Twist and Shout over and over again. I think we wore that part out because we loved that song, and I think we even did it for a talent show audition, like just in our town. I mean, I don't remember if we performed it or not, but we like choreographed a whole dance to it, and it was so much fun. And that for a long time, like that was the main Beatles song I knew, and I just knew them as the Twist and Shout Boys. But it was so funny, and I wish.
What?
Did we lose her?
We may have.
Like the Beatles. And,
there she is. You cut out there for a second, Chrissy.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But I just remember watching it, and there's like all these crowds screaming, and they have the marquee signs and everything going up, and just how crazy people went for it, and it was just these 4 guys playing music.
Mm-hmm.
And
kudos to Brian Epstein and George Martin for doing what they did to help launch the boys.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I have the entire Beatles catalog, and someday I switch them out because I have most of it on CD. All the bits on vinyl. I've got several 45s and several full size. For those young folks, records are what used to exist, plastic, and you have to put on a thing that spins with a needle.
Hey,
and they get dusty.
Yes.
Yep.
And if you scratch them, it sounds terrible. But
it reminds me of
stuff on vinyl. So
it reminds me of one of the Honey I Shrunk the Kids movies. I think it was Honey I Shrunk We Shrunk Ourselves. And the invention is going to the Smithsonian. He's like, it's going to be right next to the gramophone. The kid's like, what's a gramophone? An early record player. What's a record player? An early CD player. Now he will be like, what's a CD player?
Yeah.
Like, early iPod. Shut up, kid.
Yeah, but I don't have anything to play them on. I did at one point. I had a record player for the longest time, but I don't anymore. Chauncey, we were out earlier, and we'd stopped into an antique shop, and the antique shop had a couple of booths where the people selling their stuff had a lot of Beatles records and 45s, and I'm like, I want to buy them all, and I need to buy, just because, I'll listen to an MP3 or the radio, but there's, the music is just,
yeah,
it speaks to me, and I am glad that when I was like 8 or 9, I think, and I was out with my dad, and I convinced him to buy the soundtrack to Yellow Submarine for me, and I think I listened to it nonstop. And then, as I get money for like my birthday and stuff, and I'd get taken to the store, and I'm like, They want the Beatles out. So proud.
That is so cool.
I love the
So, yay,
Beatles.
The Beatles.
Yay. Moving on. Brittany, I believe it's your turn.
Yes, and the first one I picked is a actor that most people are relatively familiar with. Sir Ian McKellen, who is just turned 76, I do believe. He's mostly known for being Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings, also Magneto, and Sherlock Holmes, which in the movie Mr. Holmes just was released in UK, won't be released here for another month. And I picked him because, one, he plays all these iconic roles, but the actor himself is just, I know, he's always amazed me with all his, I don't know, talent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that not the way I wanted it to.
Yeah. It's hard to put a talent like his into words. It's kind of like when we were at the beginning when we were talking about, you know, Christopher Lee. It's just, you know, the body of work and the roles, and it's just how do you put that type of career into words that do it justice. And I don't think you can. There's you know, there's so many talented actors, but there's something about like this particular caliber of actor, the Christopher Lees and the Ian McKellens and, you know, so some of the others. It's just, you know, their ability to completely embody a role, and you're just like, I love you and I want to watch everything you ever do, ever, and I want you to be my best friend. And you know, he just so yeah, and he's just a hoot too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see, you follow him on social media, and he's just, you know, he may be in his mid-70s, but he doesn't act it.
No.
No, at all.
Age is merely a number, my friends.
It is. Yep. It is.
Considering the segue that we've got with the next one.
Yeah, well,
Not to give anything away.
Yeah. We'll get to that other one when we go through the list again. So.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see the Sherlock Holmes and Mr. Holmes movie when it gets released here in the United States. So because it just looks like it's going to be fun.
I saw the trailer for it this week when I went and saw Jurassic World, and because the movie theater I went to, they play them in the lobby, and we had some time. We were just sitting there, and I'm like, oh yeah, that movie's coming out, and the funny thing about it is, I mean, because Mr. Holmes, the premise is that Sherlock Holmes is a lot older now, so Ian McKellen looks older than he usually does, and you know, as Magneto or even Gandalf. I mean, I know that's weird to say that that Sherlock Holmes looks older than Gandalf somehow, but you know, the point of the story is he's old and worn and tired, but you know, this is one last case, I guess is how it is. But you know, yeah, like you're saying, Ian McKellen, he does not act like he's in his 70s. He's totally just going strong, and I fully expect him to continue to do so for a great many years yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, is it my turn again?
Yes, it is.
Looks like it. Okay, so my next one, this is kind of an interesting choice, but me being a bibliophile, it kind of makes sense. Because when we were trying to think of things that were over 50 years old, and now that we're talking about them, I'm actually thinking of some. But what I have on my bookshelf, the 50th anniversary edition of To Kill a Mockingbird. I have the book, and I have the 50th anniversary edition of To Kill a Mockingbird, the movie with Gregory Peck, who is one of my favorite old time actors. Oh, Gregory Peck, you have my heart. Just, I was born too late. Yeah, To Kill a Mockingbird has been my absolute favorite book. Well, I have a list. I have a list of books just sort of arbitrarily in my mind. The greatest books written in all of our lifetimes and beyond. And I have a handful of books on that list. And someday I'm going to get around about all of them, but I haven't done it yet. But To Kill a Mockingbird is on that list for the reason that it's when I read it in 10th grade, I was about 15 years old in high school, and I just could not get enough of it. I love the voice of Scout Finch, and it's a favorite novel of my entire family. We actually have a dog named Scout. What I love about this book is that it has a message, but it doesn't hit you over the head with it. It tells it through the eyes and the story of a young girl who she grew up in a small town, and I grew up in a small town. Everybody knows each other. Everybody's all up in everybody's business. And, you got to get along with everybody, or otherwise, life is just miserable. And this is where she comes from. And she is, growing up, she has her older brother, her father. I love Atticus Finch. Atticus Finch is hands down the best dad in literature ever. I will fight anybody who says otherwise. Because, and this is why I love Atticus Finch, is because he's a widower. He's an older man, and I get the feeling in the story that he doesn't quite know how to connect with children, and so his wife has died, and he's left him with these two kids, and he is raising them the very best he knows how to do, and that is by telling them the honest truth and not lying, but at the same time telling the truth in such a way that they can understand it and they can grasp it, in their own way, and helping them kind of find their place in the world and how that happens. So while the book is the hardcore lawyer for Tom Robinson, and he is doing everything he can for this man who's been wrongfully accused. And it's obvious he's been wrongfully accused. Thank you very much. I have strong feelings about this story. This is what I do. Anyway, but Scout and Jem, they see what their father does. They see that what is good and what is right and what is what is moral in their eyes, and just and it's about family, and it's about sticking together and getting through tough times and struggling together. And then you have, because honestly, a lot of people talk about the themes of race and racism and things like that, and those are important themes in the book. I'm not diminishing that at all, but in my opinion, the book is, if it was just about, if the only thing to take from this was race, it would end with, spoilers, Tom Robinson's death, because that is the end of his story, of that particular storyline. But it continues, because they have the end of the book. I don't know if you've all read it, and I might be spoiling stuff.
It's been a long time, but I'm familiar with it.
Watch the movie. The movie's amazing. It's one of those that I'm like, I honestly do not know. Well, the book will always win out, but I will watch the movie too. But the book, the story ends with this seeming out of place. Because the kids have been trying to get to know, they've been bugging Boo Radley for like a year, throughout the course of the book, by the course of the story. So Boo Radley is there, and he is a central character, though you never see him. But the story ends with Jem and Scout coming back from this harvest pageant, and now I totally blanked on the guy's name, the old racist drunk guy.
Can't remember. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, the Yule, Bob Yule. And he comes out and he's drunk, and he comes and he attacks the Finch kids, and he would have killed them, except Boo Radley came out and he killed Bob Yule to protect the kids, because they've been, Boo Radley and Scout and Jem have been communicating through this knot in the tree for all this time. It really goes into why Boo Radley is the way he is, and you kind of don't need to know, because he is the title To Kill a Mockingbird comes from that, it's a sin to kill a mockingbird, because all they do is sing beautiful music for people to enjoy. Like, go shoot all the jays in the corn crib all you want, because they're just a nuisance. But if you want, but to kill a mockingbird, you don't do that, because it's not bothering anybody. And that's what Boo Radley is. He is the mockingbird, and he is the one that it's like that last final lesson that Scout needs to learn before she is, gone from being a tiny little girl who doesn't know any better to, becoming a young woman and understanding her place in the world and place in society and what kind of life she wants to live. And it's all because of what her father's taught her and the examples that she sees all around her. And so they're not going to prosecute Boo Radley because, you're not going to, like they just got done with this huge circus of a show trial, basically, with Tom Robinson, and that wasn't fair to him, what he had to go through. And they're like, well, we don't want to do this to this Boo Radley, because he's had a hard life, he hasn't been treated well by his family, and he's done nothing wrong to anybody. In fact, he saved Atticus's children's life, and at the end of the book, Atticus is like, he tells Boo Radley, "Thank you for my children." And so I don't know, it's just one of those stories that's just so striking and so wonderful and so beautiful. I could sit here and gush all about it all day, and it's it's over 50 years old now, and if you don't have time to read the book, see the movie at least, because the movie is, there's stuff that's in the book that's not in the movie, obviously, but the core of the story is there, and Gregory Peck just kills it as Atticus Finch. And every time I read the book, I see Gregory Peck in my mind. In fact, even before
Oh, she cut out again. Oh, Skype, the things you do to us. She actually says it just... Oh, audio?
Can you hear me?
Oh, there she is.
Can you hear me?
There she is.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know what happened. Anyway.
That's okay.
So, whatever I said, Gregory Peck is Atticus Finch. He's the one I imagined even before I saw the movie. So, I guess Skype was telling me, shut up and let someone else talk for a minute.
In a nice way.
In a nice way. In the very best possible way.
In the very best possible way that Skype can.
Yeah, as only Skype can do.
Yes.
I don't know. What have you guys... Have you guys read the book, seen the movie? Do you have thoughts?
Done both.
I've done both. It's been a while, but...
Okay.
I remember reading... read the book in high school. I forgot which grade, either 10th or 11th. And then we were watching the movie afterwards, and I was so mad because I started watching it, but then the next day when we were finishing up, I had to go to the library to work on some other research paper, and I was really mad. So I didn't get to finish it, so I went to go buy the DVD so I can finish it, because I loved it so much.
Oh, yes, it's definitely worth owning, and I own both. I've got them see anniversary stuff of other things.
I own both.
Yeah. In fact, this copy of the book, To Kill a Mockingbird, is actually my second copy because my part.
No.
So when the 50th anniversary edition came out, I was like, and it was a new cover, and I'm like, ooh, I like this cover, because the one I had before was the purple one with the tree and the one that everybody seems to know, but yeah. So anyway.
Oh, and I'm drawing a blank, but the not really a new book, I guess, but she it's a prequel that was finally published this year, and I'm drawing a blank of the name of it. Give me a
I don't
second.
remember either. I remember there being a big old though, because people thought that
Ghost a Watchman.
Ghost at a Watchman. It's supposed to be a sequel. Like, she wrote it, and it was never. She just never published it because it's sort of like, I mean, Harper Lee is not. She doesn't seek the public eye. It's like she had the one story she wanted to tell. Was it like she's not like, I don't know, but she's getting older, and so there's kind of the thought that maybe somebody coerced her into publishing it, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of annoyed by interesting. I'm excited for this. Then I found out more about it, and I was like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah, I haven't read or anything about it. I just remember seeing a whole bunch of things on Facebook, so I figured it would be appropriate to mention.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, very, very. Yeah, kind of unfortunate that it's going to be released under that kind of cloud, and it's like, Really?
Yeah.
Who did that?
Yeah.
Boo.
So anyway, Bradley.
Yeah.
Boo Bradley.
There we go.
I took one of those quizzes and I was boo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to one of my others. Another person who is again in the elder years of his life, but sure doesn't act it, and we're more than happy for it because he's always entertaining when he's out in public. Stan Lee, who I want to adopt him as like my kooky older uncle or something. The man is.
I think everybody does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Stan Lee just needs to adopt all of us.
He should do like Leonard Nimoy did
Yeah.
on Twitter.
Yeah.
Before he passed.
Yeah. He is. The man is. He could easily just sit back and let the checks come in and his bank account grow and finish off his life in peace and quiet. But no, he is far from it. He is at conventions and the red carpets for whatever Marvel movie is coming out at the time. He's still doing cameos in the Marvel movies. He's got his own convention, the Stan Lee Kamikaze Expo.
He's on YouTube.
He's on YouTube. He's on Twitter. He's on Facebook. I mean, he is everywhere. Absolutely everywhere, and he's always so entertaining. I know I've mentioned it before, but yeah, go listen to the episodes of The Nerdist that he has been on, and you will laugh your face off. The man is so funny. He has got such a quick sense of humor, and he's very sharp with it, and it is you need to pick me up. Listen to an interview with Stan Lee. Pick a medium. Just go on YouTube and look for Stan Lee interview, and I almost guarantee you will, whatever bad mood you're in, it will snap you out of it. No, and we can't. We'd be remiss, just to not mention, the legacy of the work he's done with the Marvel comic books. You look at all the different the comics that between he and Jack Kirby came up with, and kind of revolutionized comic books, superhero type comic books. His career exploding the way it did was kind of an accident. He'd be doing these comics and was making decent money, but he really wasn't happy with what he was doing, and he wanted to quit. And his wife said, he's like, he told his wife, I think I'm going to get out of this and go do something else. And his wife is all like, well, if you're going to quit, finish with writing the comic you really want to write, something you'd want to read. And he did, and came up with the Fantastic Four, and it kind of and it turned into this big old multimedia conglomerate that is the Marvel Universe. And I love him. I love Stan Lee. I really hope that one of these days I'll get to meet him before he can't travel as much. So just because it's definitely one of those people that I just want to shake his hand and just thank him, and tell him what he's done means to you, just because the body of work is just, I can't, it's just, it's, somebody else say something. I'm getting all verklempt thinking about Stan Lee and his fabulousness.
Like, not too much more to say.
Yeah.
Agree with you.
I think you hit all the high notes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's going to conventions and all these things, and he loves what he does, and he loves his fans.
He's a regular guest at Fan Expo.
Mm.
Well, and there's every single Marvel movie. You always have to be on the lookout for his cameo.
His cameo.
When he's going to show up.
Yep.
Yep.
Always a fun Easter egg.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they're where you least expect them.
Yep.
I.e., go watch Big Hero 6 if you haven't yet.
Yes, exactly.
Stay to the end of the credits.
Yes.
And if you haven't watched Big Hero 6, what? What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go watch it.
Yeah. I got to watch it on the plane to Galley.
Nice.
Like, I've been
It is
wanting to
a lovely
see it,
movie.
but didn't get a chance. And then I was looking through the movie selection on the plane on my way to Galley. And, like, Big Hero 6, I'm like, yes, that, and what? It was one of, like, 2 movies I watched on there.
It's a good movie, and one of my favorite Stanley cameos.
Am I up again?
You are up again.
All
You're
right.
up again.
Okay, another 50, we're dealing with another musical group. The Who, they do have some ties to TV. They have, besides their body of work with Tommy, Quadrophenia, and that, a few of their songs have been used as opening theme songs for all the incarnations of CSI and have been used in some ads. And also Roger Daltrey has dipped his foot into some acting. He guest starred in Highlander, the series as Hugh Fitzcairn. He's guest starred in a couple episodes of Sliders, Colonel Rickman. He was also guest starred in the Witchblade series, and he also guest starred in The Adventures of Lois and Clark as a bad guy who was going after Clark. So, I mean, these guys who has played stadiums. I had a chance to see them once on tour, and loud band. What can I say? I mean, my generation, Tommy, and Cool by Numbers is a good album. Who's Next? I mean, they have quite the wealth of music. If you're wondering where to start with the greatest hits and then go from there.
And listen to Tommy, the album. You can skip the movie.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I watched Tommy once, and
yeah,
I'm sure it makes way more sense if you're high on something.
Yeah, I mean, sure you get your guest appearance with Jack Nicholson, but stick away from the movies. Just go with the album.
Yeah.
You're doing yourself a favor.
Yeah. Yeah. And any time I hear the Who on the radio, on the classic rock station, but especially because of the ties to CSI, every time I hear We Won't Get Fooled Again, all I can think of is what's his face putting on his sunglasses,
putting them on and taking them off.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, Roger Daltrey's sweet, rattling scream.
Yeah.
He actually was at his house in their basement recording studio when he let that go. And the story goes that he actually rattled the china that was sitting in Jager's kitchen.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's another one of those iconic rock bands from the 60s and 70s where the music's just, the body of work is just amazing and the music is iconic, and you can listen to it any time and it's always timeless.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, totally.
I feel like I need to go listen to my classic rock station now.
Oh Oh, I have a playlist that I made for my dad
Yeah.
that I also have on my iPod. That I took a drive yesterday because I was bored and sick of being in the house. So I drove to a little town, about an hour east of Salt Lake, and got stuck in road construction. And I was listening to that playlist all the way there and all the way back, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was all oldies, 70s, 60s, classic rock, some disco in there even, and I'm just like, really, Dad? But it was good too. It was good. It wasn't too strange. So we did all right.
Break out the polyester and the bell bottoms, and that's all good.
Yeah.
The bigger,
I guess
the bigger
maybe
your
it wasn't
collar.
really disco. It was more like Motown. I don't know.
Yeah. Polyester still fits, depending on the era, depending on the time frame. Fabulous. Alrighty, so Brittany.
I'm next.
Yay.
And I'm sure most of you guess who the next person I picked, seeing how I first picked Ian McKinnon.
The salt to his pepper.
Obvious is Sir Patrick Stewart, who is also another one of. He's up there in ages, but you definitely can't tell.
No.
Just look at his Twitter.
Yeah.
it's just.
I mean, to most of us, well, to a lot of us, he's Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the USS Enterprise.
Yep. Watching I was
So
watching
starts
some of it on Next Gen today. I was like, love you.
Yep.
Yep. At Sea Star Trek did get a mention just because they aren't 50 yet.
Yep.
The show isn't 50, and we still got it in there.
Yep. Yeah. And of course, he's also Charles Xavier in several of the X-Men movies. So you got the tie-in there. And of course, he is best friends with Ian McKellen, and the two of them together is like gasoline and fire in the most entertaining way. What was that was recently? I think maybe it was a premiere for the Patrick lock lips on the red carpet. I was like, it's another day with those two.
I would love to see a Grumpier Old Men remake and
Oh,
have those two be in the leads. Or some sort of version of that.
Yeah.
Two of them together, I just think would be fabulous.
Yeah.
I don't think we need a script, just
that
guys.
would be amazing.
Go.
No.
Have at it. Have fun.
Like, they're not grumpy old men. They're adorable fandom men.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And they
could maybe get Stan Lee to do a cameo.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I've got it written.
That sounds awesome, but I think I might explode from all that squeenness.
Disney, Marvel, somebody, whoever, call me. We'll get this done.
right up there with Sean's script for but yeah, no, just I mean, Patrick Stewart is, he's a classically trained actor. He got his start doing Shakespeare, and still does Shakespeare when the opportunity arises. And that's what he was really known for the longest time until he took the role of Captain Picard for Star Trek. And
he was a little weird.
Woo! Hello.
Okay, is that me or? I hope not.
Alien interference for being invaded.
Because I can interview that he did with William Shatner. He was just a little nervous because of his classical trained and everybody else having fun on set.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, I learned from them, they learned from me.
He's another good one where it's just that caliber of actors. Just you're in awe of their their ability, and with any luck, he'll maybe one other stint on Broadway, and I can make it out to New York
Yes.
and see him in something.
That would be.
That would be amazing. Especially if
That
I could.
really wants to happen. I live close enough. I can do that.
Yeah.
That needs to happen now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially if they can time it so that he's on Broadway at the same time Ian McKellen is, and they can go on their adventures around New York City. Two old Brits running around shenanigans.
They're just too cute.
Yep, they are. Oh my! I got a smile on my face now just thinking about it. All right, well, Chrissy, are you still with us? Nope, she's issues that hopefully she doesn't. We don't lose her completely because it was her turn again. Well, we'll for a second, and we'll go on to my other one, and we'll get to Chrissy when she comes back, hopefully. But I had another one here, and it is one of my favorite fandoms, and I know because I've discussed this recently with recent events, is with my love of all things from the UK. Another one of those things that I truly love and enjoy, monarchy, especially the current family that is in existence. With Queen Elizabeth II, and especially the third generation, and now fourth generation, with and Catherine and their growing family with little Prince, and they're so cute, and George is becoming the almost 2-year-old. There are pictures with Kate and some of his cousins at a polo match, and it's just there's some people that they don't care for the monarchy because, at least in England, the monarchy is really just they don't. It's purely ceremonial for most things, but the Queen is she's still the Queen. Although a lot of those countries they don't necessarily go by a monarchy these days. There's not a lot of places run by monarchy, actually. But still, even with them being mostly ceremonial, there's something about, I don't know if this is because of my love of Disney and therefore the love of princesses and stuff, that there's something very fascinating about royalty, and especially the history, and it's not always been of stories, especially Anna and everything that happened, and some unfortunate things and failed relationships, but for the they keep going very strong, and I think William and Kate will be and examples for the upcoming.
Yeah.
I love. I'm always excited when the Queen goes out, and she's obviously she's very. I don't blame her for that, but I always find it funny when she goes out, and she's got her usually matching outfits. The dress and the coat and the hat are usually, and the shoes are all the same color, and she's got her little handbag that's tucked in, hanging off the crook of her elbow. Even when she's greeting people in the palace, she's there with her honey. Is like, I don't know if she thinks she supposedly she carries like her lipstick and maybe like a small compact mirror, and that's about it. But I think it's funny that the Queen feels like she needs to carry a handbag. when she could easily have somebody carry the stuff she needs. So she carries her little handbag regardless of the function, and she's got it. And I think it's adorable, personally. So, but and apparently Skype has decided to kill both Chrissy and Mitch.
Uh-oh.
Chrissy's here, but not here. She says she's here in the chat, but we're not seeing her or hearing her. Okay.
She says she and Mitch are talking.
Apparently,
I'm confused now.
Apparently, they got moved.
Or chatting.
This is a first. Oh my. As George Takei would say, oh my.
I want to say something about why this is going on.
Yo, yeah.
I'm probably pronouncing this website right, but Symbio, whatever, they do all those quizzes.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the most recent was, which royal family member you are? And I took it, and I'm... and then my grandmother took it, and she's Queen Elizabeth.
No, really?
Yep. So like, oh.
Oh my, that's funny.
That is.
But yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, they're like I said, there's some people that don't care for the British royal family, and there's some people that absolutely adore them, and I fall into the second category. I just think so. That was my list, and since Chrissy's not here, I don't know if we should talk about her other one for her. Although I think her being the bibliophile, she would probably has more to say than at least me. So, but the other is it working? Maybe no. Darn you, Skype. Pull it, William. Anyway, the other item on the Mitch is back. Hey! There's hope for us.
She'll be back in a sec.
Okay. We're gonna leave the listeners in suspense here and see if Chrissy comes. Maybe.
We apparently got on a separate call.
Weird.
That
Yeah, that's a bit odd.
And then Chrissy hung up so we could join this call. Well, and I thought she was going to come right back right away, but
nope. What?
Can you hear me?
There she is. Yay!
Okay. I said some very bad words.
ooh,
Language.
Yes, language. Okay, so where are we?
We're on your last one.
My last one.
We skipped you and
Skype. Okay, I heard part of your British monarchy stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last one we've got is that's our fabulous 50 is The Hobbit / Lord of the Rings, the books, obviously, because J.R.R. Tolkien wrote them. Long copies in front of me. They're actually in the other room. I should have grabbed them while I was running back and forth, cursing Skype. Anyway,
I can see
The Hobbit
from here.
The Hobbit. It was published in I want to say 37, but I was right. I was like, I can't be right, but apparently it is. And then Lord of the Rings was some years after, because The Hobbit was written as a children's book. I've mentioned this before. I actually have this lecture series from iTunes U on my iPad.
Mm-hmm.
iTunes U is a lot of fun. So if you have an iPad and you see that app, you should check it out. There's some cool stuff. Anyway, and it's this lecture series about The Hobbit, and this professor is just kind of talking about, the different things about what, the themes of the book and the story, and kind of Bilbo's journey and his relationship with the dwarves and Gollum and all these different things. And you ever read The Hobbit? It's a quick, easy read relatively, and it's written in a very simplistic language and for children, and then Tolkien finishes it, and then later people are saying, well, what happens next? We want another book, so you get The Rings, which is
not an easy read.
Not an easy read. And 6th grade, and I loved it. And I was like, I'm going to go on and read Lord of the Rings. Yeah, that didn't last.
Yeah.
But I did. It took me a couple more years to actually be ready for it. In which I had a friend, I had a friend at the school I went to as a kid. And she had read Lord of the Rings when she was in 4th grade, and I was just like, well, fine, show us all up. But something
grade 8, I think, when I read Lord of the Rings. I was in 6th grade because that was this year that Fellowship came out in theaters, and I wanted to read the books before I saw the movie, so I forced myself to read them.
I'm so sorry.
The fun thing about, I think, the thing I love about Lord of the Rings actually is, yes, you have a story. Yes, you have Frodo, and he has a goal of taking the One Ring to Mordor to destroy it, and that is the end goal. There is the hero's quest. But at the same time, this book is not just his end goal. It is also about the journey that all these characters take, and the way that the story is formatted.
Mm-hmm.
With you have each book has 2 books. I'm using air quotes. Wherein because the last 2 books. You guys can still hear me, right?
Yep.
Yes.
I think I'm getting. Okay, sorry. Where they in 2 Towers and Return of the King, the 2 parts of the Fellowship get split off. So you have Frodo and Sam going to Mordor, and you have everybody else doing their thing, and the Fellowship has ended in a sense, but it really hasn't, because they've just gone in different directions. And so it's like you're following Aragorn and everybody and those guys to Rohan and Helm's Deep, and then they go to Gondor, and then there's all these big emotional battles being fought, and then you've got these 2 little hobbits just doing their thing, going along through the countryside and through peril and following Gollum, and nobody really notices, because there's all these kings and generals and armies amassing to fight the forces of Mordor. And all the evil things that are coming, and just these small little, and that's the theme of the book is out of small things, things that nobody really notices or nobody even takes thought of, and really even in the end, because Merry and Pippin they end up back with not Frodo and Sam, with Aragorn and Gandalf and all those, and they become heroes because they take part in the fighting with the armies of men, with Rohan and Gondor, and Pippin is friends with Faramir, and Merry becomes friends with Éowyn and all these these unlikely sort of misfit type people, and they end up being heroes, and everybody knows what they've done. But Frodo and Sam did the greater deed, and they get not quite as much credit for it because people don't really know about it. Which I kind of think, at one level, you're like, oh man, that's unfair, because they went through some pretty nasty stuff with going to Mordor and almost dying. I felt like it's sort of a commentary on life, really, and even, because Tolkien was a very religious man, and he had religious themes in the book. Not quite as much as his friend C.S. Lewis, which like more on that. He still managed to put some of those themes in there, and they're there if you have a mind to look for them, and if you don't, that's okay. You enjoy a really cool epic fantasy story about really cool epic fantasy things happening, and the good guys win in the end, although it's a trial and a struggle for them to get there, which again, commentary on life. What do you want?
Mm-hmm.
And then just the standard that Tolkien has set, or that Tolkien set with those stories, and just with his, like, he had appendices and indexes and the Silmarillion, and I mean, people are kind of asking Peter Jackson, "Oh, when are you going to make a movie of the Silmarillion?" Yeah, I've read the Silmarillion. Good luck.
Yeah.
How can you make a movie of that? I don't think you can. So, because it reads very much. Well, maybe you could, because it reads a lot like the Bible does. I think, in my mind, where it's a lot of flowery language.
Well, I haven't read the whole thing,
dance.
but I've read some of it, and yeah, it.
Mm-hmm.
From what I read, it does.
It's
a lot like the beginning definitely is like, yeah.
Yeah, it's in a very, very dense language. Like, you can get through it if you work at it, and there are separate stories. So it's not like it's just one big story. It is like basically the creation tales of the elves, and the elves are very, very, and a lot of the characters. When I read it, I'm like, I don't even know who this is. But then you come to the story of Luthien and Beren and Luthien, who are Luthien was the elf woman, and Beren was the mortal man who they fell in love, which is they're sort of the I want to say archetype, but I don't think that's the right word, but I'm going to say it anyway. The archetype, or the predecessor, we'll say, of Aragorn and Eowyn, or not Arwen. Oh my gosh, everybody has Arwen and Aragorn. I know my ships, I just can't say them right. Because Arwen is an elf, an elf woman, and Aragorn's mortal, and they fall in love, and they, if you've seen the Peter Jackson movies, they are, they can't fall in love because she will die, and she will be left behind and diminish and won't be. So anyway, so when I got to their story, Beren and Luthien, I was like, oh, I know who these two are. Oh, this sucks. This is trash. And then there was the tale of like how, the story of how the rings came to be, or they mention what Sauron is. So anyway, that's the Silmarillion, and it is rich and beautiful and amazing if you can get through it. And I just set the standard for world building in the fantasy genre. Like, we would not have, I don't think we would have J.K. Rowling, we would not have Harry Potter if Tolkien had not set this standard. I mean, there's a lot of, I could list off lots of fantasy authors. Brandon Sanderson is another one of my favorites, who is, he took world building and just put it on steroids and just run with it, and it's wonderful. Robert Jordan is another one I love, with the Wheel of Time, and there's some others, the Rhaenyra Chronicle, or Revelations. It's a fairly newer series that I really love, and that's another one that there's world building and such around it, and I'm trying to think, there's so many others. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now trying to remember, because my brain is like kind of fried by now. But if you love the epic fantasy genre, you have Tolkien to thank for that, because without him, and Terry Brooks, my heart, my soul, Shannara and Landover. I cannot get enough of it, even though it's been years since I've read any of those. But time and day job and everything else gets in my way, and it makes me sad. But so anyway, epic fantasy, Tolkien, yay. Love it.
Yep.
And if all you ever see is the movies, okay. I won't hold it against you.
I have to retry reading The Lord of the Rings. I tried once, and I couldn't. And that was after seeing the movies. And I could not get myself to do it. It's been several years. I need to try again. And
well, even the movies are not a strictly faithful adaptation, because really, again, there is no way. It's so dense and so complex. I don't know how you could do it very well, and did the best with what he had, and the technology and the way they did it all. But still, there's still parts of it that are not to specification, and that's just that's just movie. Like, telling a story in book form is very different than telling a story in movie form and as a TV show. All these mediums are different, and there's a reason that they're all different. It's because you can tell certain stories in one medium that don't necessarily translate into another, as much as you try to adapt it.
Yeah.
And, you just kind of have to be okay with that. Yeah. Although Harry Potter, they could have done a lot better. I will save that rant another day.
Yeah.
Although I probably ranted about that here on our Harry Potter episode.
Yeah, probably. I think we all did. Probably.
I think we all did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's our 10, but of course we have honorable mentions, because we can't stop at 10, and we subscribe to the Lou Mangello School of doing top 10s.
And now that we've met Lou, we'll say yes.
Yeah. So, but we'll run through these fairly quickly, just because the show was long, mostly because we had so much news to get to, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But a few honorable mentions. And by few, it's almost another 10, but
Let's see. 1,
quickly.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yep,
8
almost.
honorable mentions.
Once we started talking, we started thinking of more.
Yeah.
And trust me, tomorrow we'll probably think of 10 more.
Probably.
So for our 100 episode, we'll do. There's the back half of 50.
Yeah.
There we go.
And by the time we hit
There, I
100, by the time we hit 100, Star Trek will be 50, so it'll get included.
There we go.
So there's a start. There's the start of that list.
Be almost 75.
Quickly here, Robert Downey Jr., which he barely made the cut because he just turned 50 in April. But
He would have been on our main list, but everything else we wanted to talk about. So
yeah.
sorry, RDJ, we love you still.
Yeah, he's 50, but very fabulous. Johnny Depp, who is a couple years older than Robert Downey Jr., so he was solidly into his 50s. But again, still fabulous. One of my favorites, as big as I am as I am into comics and the sci-fi and all that, I also do have a love of sports. And at the end of the day, if I had to pick a sport, it would be NASCAR. I've been a NASCAR fan for a long time, and NASCAR is well over 50.
Being from Indianapolis, I wouldn't expect anything else.
Well, yeah. Living in Indianapolis, they expect us to be fans of open wheel racing, which it's okay. But give me a NASCAR race any day. No offense to those that attend the Indianapolis 500. Which that in itself, that race specifically is over 100 years old, so that fits as well, but I'm not really a fan. Like Christy alluded to, C.S. Lewis, The Chronicles of Narnia, are well over 50. The books, obviously, not the movies. Again.
Yeah. Which, as we were compiling our list, and I threw that out there for honorable mentions, we had to look it up, and C.S. Lewis actually passed away on November 22nd, 1963, which, as we all know, is the day before the first episode of Doctor Who aired, and the day of the JFK assassination, but mostly the Doctor Who thing.
Yes.
So because there's where my priorities lie.
Yeah. That's how we remember stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of Doctor Who,
For who?
actors who played the Doctor are well over 50.
Yeah.
With the exception of Matt Smith and David Tennant. Obviously.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of the classic companions are well over 50, but I don't think they'd want us to mention that.
Yeah.
But we love them still, and some of them still play those characters in Big Finish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah. A couple of I know we mentioned Stan Lee, but a lot of our favorite Marvel characters don't quite qualify, but a few of DC's do. Batman and Superman specifically, they are well over 50 as characters, and are still going strong in various forms of media, as the upcoming Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice movie. That's a mouthful. That's a mouthful, that movie title, but neither here nor there.
This was supposed to be Superman 2.
Yeah.
Or Man of Steel 2, I guess.
Yeah. So, those are, they're old. Not a big fan, but we'd be remiss not to mention them just because they're staples in pop culture. And then another one of my favorite, and he's well over 50, but he's definitely fabulous. Alan Rickman. Which, if you caught him on, was it Jimmy Kimmel?
Yes, Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon, one of the Jimmys, inhaling helium.
And it was in response to Jimmy and Benedict Cumberbatch having a Rickman off.
Yeah.
So I watched that video.
Funny, I was watching that video at the same time I was watching Galaxy Quest.
Oh.
That's perfect.
Oh
I
my.
had a close friend recently tell me Galaxy Quest is the best Star Trek movie. And he would know, having been a Star Trek fan for a very long time.
Top 2 Star Trek movies, Wrath of Khan and Galaxy Quest.
Yep. That's about all you need.
Yep.
And I want to hear Sean's take on that. So
Yeah.
challenge thrown there over there, Sean Collins.
So yeah, Alan Rickman again. One of those again, that caliber of British actors is just I could listen to you read the phone book, and I would be happy.
Twice.
Yeah, twice. So of course, well, I'm sure we'll talk about Alan at some point. I know he's on our in the hat, waiting to be drawn out. When we get around to pulling names out of a hat again, maybe he'll be the lucky one to get chosen. And then
we had many extras.
yeah, and then last but certainly not least, speaking of Star Trek, William Shatner.
Yeah.
The Shat
Who is
is
Canadian. I would just like to point out.
yeah. So we did get a Canadian tie in there, which makes Mitch very happy. Go Canada! So that is our list as of the time we recorded this, and until we sign off and we go, wait, what about? And they'll just have to wait for the next one.
Somebody will tweet us and say, you forgot so and so or such and such. And you know what? That's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting a conversation. So you converse away with us, my friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Comment on the website.
Yes, which is the 5ish Fangirls podcast.blogspot.com, Twitter at 5ish Fangirls, Facebook 5ish Fangirls, Tumblr same, Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube, iTunes. I really should write these down.
They're all linked on the blog. There's a nice little sidebar that's got all the links for everything. So, and once again, don't forget to enter our big 1-year birthday giveaway.
Yep.
There's still time to enter.
Tweet us at 5ish Fangirls with our what was it again? Which fictional character you'd like to have dinner with and why?
Yeah, or who out of your fandoms?
Not necessarily and why. That would take.
Oh, well, that's true.
But
just who?
That's
character.
Just who. That's all. And hashtag it.
5ish Fangirls turn 1. With the number 1, not the word one.
Another week and a half.
Yep.
So you got time, and sending a tweet is not difficult. So pick somebody and tell us, and
you shall be
help
entered.
Us celebrate our 1-year anniversary in style, and fabulous prizes await the glorious winner.
Mm-hmm.
So you shall be burdened with glorious purpose.
Like marshmallows.
Oh,
you'd have to have been here for our pre-show meeting with that. With the marshmallows.
I did see that on in my Facebook notification.
And you don't know what we're laughing about. We'll have Chrissy share it on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe that would be wisdom in me. that would be wise to do that. So people are like Loki, marshmallows,
Legos.
I'm talking to State Park Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters.
No.
No. This is a marvelous thing that someone posted.
Yeah.
The internet is a wonderful place. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. And don't forget, I'll be at Pop Con later this week, so come find me, come say hi. Please sit in on one of my things, so the only person in my audience is not my husband. Just saying.
Oh, someone will come see you.
Yeah. Always exciting to make new friends. So, I promise not to bite. Unless you look like Tom Hiddleston, and then I might. Sorry. Okay. We need to wrap this thing up. We're getting slap happy, and it's actually not that late. I think it's just
no. It's usually it's like near midnight where you guys are, and then it's like 10 o'clock. I mean, it isn't even dark outside where I am.
Yeah.
Just turned over to 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Mountain time.
Must be something. Must be something in the air or something. I don't know. Is it a full moon? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Not last I checked. I think
No.
it was
It's the
still
first day of summer.
Maybe that's it. It's the longest day
there we
of the
go.
year.
There we go.
So it feels like it's a lot later than it actually is because it was the longest day of the year. That's my excuse. I'm going to stick with it. Okay. All right. Let's wrap this thing up.
Sorry.
Okay.
Wait. This is Brittany and Bev saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
This is Mitch saying goodnight from Kitchener, Ontario.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Good night, everyone. You have been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.